it's Leanne and I am coming to you today with my reading wrap up for the month of May. So May was a very weird reading month for me. I finished 4 things which were all relatively short. In fact, one of them is actually pamphlet sized. And I read half of a 500-page book which I absolutely hated. And it left me in such a slumpy state. I don't think I've ever been in such a bad mood when it comes to reading. So the book which I DNF'd halfway through and caused those horrible feelings for me was this book. This is Now You See Me by S.G. Bolton. It is Claire from the Book Fox's Travelling Book Project book. Everything about it sounded like it would be right up my alley, and it absolutely was not. On a much lighter note, the first book that I actually finished in May and totally adored was this one. This is The Girl Who Fell Beneath Fairyland and Led the Revels There by Catherine M. Valenti. How proud am I that I got through that whole title. This book was a beautiful take on our hidden selves and marrying our wants and desires with what society deems acceptable and what we personally deem to be acceptable, and acknowledging that sometimes we have wants and feelings which are outside of the social norm and that that's okay. We don't have to act on everything that we feel, but we do have to reconcile ourselves to that. And of course the book was filled with whimsy and such originality that it kind of makes me never want to pick up any other books ever about fairy tales, because I feel like I'm getting everything from this series. The second book that I finished was This Is How You Lose Her by Junot Diaz, and this book absolutely blew my mind. I've had this on my shelf for a couple of years and I just kind of felt like it was the right time to pick it up. This book is really difficult to sum up, but I will try because I feel like you have to know what the premise is and then what it actually does. So the premise of this book is that we follow Junior, who at a very young age was brought from the Dominican Republic to America and considers himself to be an immigrant and has been living in a ghetto for quite a long time. And we follow him from very early childhood all the way through to being a fairly successful adult in a non-chronological order, which I really enjoyed, through a series of devastating relationship breakups. And I absolutely take my hat off to Junot Diaz because he accomplishes something in this book that I didn't think the narrative vehicle could actually carry. This book has so many layers to it. On one layer, it has the theory of the consciousness of your nationality and how that changes when your nationality becomes an immigrant status, and how the idea of being an immigrant eats itself into your way of judging yourself and the amount of self-worth that you apportion to yourself. Being an immigrant in a culture which has already assigned you a value and has already made a decision on you before you are a fully formed person in yourself. It's also about relationships across those separate cultures and how being an immigrant and dating an immigrant does not necessarily mean that your values will mesh. I would love to actually do a full review on this book, but it's going to take me a little while to get all of my thoughts together. The next book that I read was this little pamphlet. This is We Should All Be Feminist by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. It is the TED talk that she gave about feminism condensed and edited slightly into a small portable pamphlet sized novel. And yeah, let me preface this by saying that I watched Chimamanda's TED Talk from start to finish. I actually clicked on it completely at random when it popped up on Facebook of all places, and I was transported. I sat glued to it despite the fact that I was intending to go to bed, and it was wonderful and it gave me shivers and it gave me so much to think about, and it was powerful, and she is just such an intellectual force. And this lets that entire talk down. And the last one that I finished was The Vanishing by Tim Krabbe, maybe? This is a very strange and little psychological thriller which does so much in such a short space that I was kind of left reeling a little bit from it. The premise of it is that a young couple who are driving along a motorway interstate thing, and they stop at a gas station, at a petrol station, and they are filling up the car, and they separate. The girl goes into the petrol station and the guy stays in the car, and she vanishes. And that's kind of where the narrative splits, because up until that point we get everything from Rex, the guy's point of view, and we're listening to him talk about their relationship, and then all of a sudden we are in a very different headspace with a very different character who turns out to be the person who has kidnapped Saskia. What it does is it holds any details away from the crime, like completely. You don't find out anything that happens to Saskia, and that left me feeling a bit kind of cold about the whole thing. Sam Garrett is the person who translated it, and unfortunately I don't think Sam did a very good job. The language is very clunky. I was put off by it, and when I felt myself kind of sinking into the story, there would be a really clunky sentence or a phrase that just didn't ring true, where I would be like, and I would be thrown back out of the story, which was just quite annoying, So that was everything that I read in the month of May. Not as much as I would have liked, thanks to this monstrosity. I really should stop throwing that about. It has to go to other people, but if you've read any of these books, please let me know in the comments below, because I would love to chat about them. I would especially love to chat about this one, of course, and I will try to get a more comprehensive review together for this one and get it up very soon, because it's haunting my every thought.